listen to what Gavin Newsom said. He was on a podcast with Charlie Kirk, who works for iHeart.
And wait, Gavin Newsom's the host, right?
Gavin Newsom
has his new podcast.
Oh, it's Gavin Newsom's podcast.
Yes.
Oh, so he was interviewing Charlie Kirk. Forgive me. All right, so Gavin Newsom is the governor of California. They're talking about fairness in women's sports. Is it fair for a trans female to play in women's sports? Listen to this.
You right now should come out and be like, you know what? The young man who's about to win the state championship in the long jump in female sports,
right.
that shouldn't happen. You as the governor should step out and say no.
No, and I appreciate.
But like, would you do something like that? Would you say no men in female sports?
Well, I think it's an issue of fairness. I completely agree with you on that. So that's easy to call out, the unfairness of that.
So Gavin values winning more than anything. He will change to win. The problem that he has not calculated, and he's normally a tactician when it comes to his party has not moved on. He's trying to move on to the general election. If this is the Gavin Newsom that has become moderate now, which I don't believe, it's all for politics, he won't win a Democratic primary, and you don't have to take my word for it. Brian, just look at the reaction from the Democrats.
It's unbelievable. And I will say this is how insincere it is. He hasn't changed one thing.
No.
He's gone to bat for trans men in women's sports and made sure it stood there. So he makes this, by the way, he couched it by saying, I have great compassion. If you don't let them play, they'll commit suicide. But I agree with you, Charlie, which is totally not true. So Lori Lightfoot, I know you forgot about her, but I'll bring her back just for this moment. She says it's disgusting. There are kids waking up today in California with this news thinking that their governor hates them, and rightly so. As Charlie Kirk says, Politico has not one, not two, but 5 reporters covering the fallout of Gavin Newsom's comments about men and women's sports. But there's even more. Ro Khanna, who many people point to as somebody, a voice of reason on the left.
Democrat from California said this is a moment for Democrats to stand for the dignity of the trans community, the immigrant community, and the most vulnerable. Here are my thoughts.
He should end with women suck, right?
All he said was it's not fair, because men are stronger, and you have a biological man who is playing against a woman. There are so many examples of girls that have been hit by the volleyball, that have lost their scholarships because a biological male has taken it from them. So he's not saying he's anti-trans. And a lot of people who are against this because of fairness are not anti-trans. It's just they're saying it's not fair for my little girl to lose her scholarship to someone who is biologically stronger. And so if you read the New York Times, the Ipsos poll back in January found the vast majority of Americans, this is why Gavin Newsom is smart if he wants to win an election. Right. The vast majority of Americans, including most Democrats, do not think that trans athletes should compete in women's sports. They polled 2,128 people. 79% said biological men should not participate in women's sports. 67% of Democrats agreed with that, and 94% of Republicans. The trans girl community makes up a very small percentage of our population.
And before we move on and talk about the most extreme statement ever, Cynthia Slavin, the mom of one of the girls who filed a lawsuit against Riverside, this is all California Unified School District, for this very reason, because here's one her daughter playing against sports. She said when she heard about these comments, goes, what's truly unfair that he has the power to do something about this issue, but doesn't. Talk is cheap. Take action. Do something. By him not taking action and trying to come up with a plan, he's aimed to the division and tension in our state. So, of course, he's not out of power. He could change in California in a second, but he just wants to get along. Please see through the hair gel.
But the Democrats have a leader right now in the House, and it's Hakeem Jeffries. He didn't know what to make of it. This is his comments.
I want to ask about California Governor Gavin Newsom's comments saying that Democrats were in the wrong for allowing transgender athletes to compete in female and girls sports. What is your response to that after Democrats had opposed the women and girls in sports?
I haven't seen his comments. What Democrats opposed was unleashing sexual predators on girls throughout the United States of America.
What? What does that even mean? I'm not even understanding what he's trying to connect.
He's just trying to pivot.
Here.
He doesn't want to answer the question.
I mean, it's really not that complicated. Guys can't be with the girls. They can't be I mean, I remember when I was in school, and I played basketball, and there were certain rules because of Title IX. And the girls had to get the court some of the days, and the guys got the court some of the. You could not discriminate. And we would say, okay, we got a state championship. It did not matter. You had to protect the individuality of the girls and the guys. And the Democrats used to lead on this issue, And now they're taking a back seat.
But you know what he's alluding to? That there's genital inspections to make sure you're the right gender when you compete. Nobody has said that in that act that was passed, the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act.
Is that what he means by unleashing sexual predators?
That's what he thinks. He thinks that there's a bunch of school gym teachers who are going to be saying, drop your pants.
No,
are you crazy?
No, the guys are already dropping their pants in front of the girls. That's what's happening.
The locker room.
Did you hear?
We're talking about.
I mean, I'm seriously. This is what happened. What's the young lady name?
Riley Gaines.
Riley Gaines talked about it yesterday. That one of the most traumatic parts about it was they were in the swim locker room, and you had a guy that was undressing in front of the girls. They said they were so uncomfortable.
They were in the broom closet.
And the mom in Virginia who took her little girl into the locker room to change after they were swimming at the school's swimming pool, and they go into the locker room, and there's that guy who has the crazy mugshot with the long hair.
Crazy.
He was exposed, totally exposed in
way.
there, and there were a bunch of little girls, and her daughter's 9 years old.
Right. So this is it's one of the most insane retorts to controversy. By the way, there was only 51 senators who voted for this act. It failed the day before the president's address to the nation. So keep in mind, every Democrat, including John Fetterman, is for having trans men and women sports. So
including the women in the pink.
The Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act that was passed in January. It was 218 to 206
in the House, but it failed in the Senate.